Today, we continue the remarkable story of Cleopatra VII, Egypt's last pharaoh. In this episode, we'll explore her legendary relationship with Marc Antony, their dramatic conflict with Octavian, and the events leading to Cleopatra's tragic downfall. Her life remains one of the most fascinating tales of power, romance, and political intrigue in ancient history. Have you ever wondered how Cleopatra managed to captivate Rome's most powerful generals? And what exactly caused her downfall despite her immense intelligence and political skill? We'll answer these questions shortly, but first, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Best of History and Mythology, leave a like, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more incredible historical and mythological stories. With Julius Caesar gone, Cleopatra turned her attention to Marc Antony, one of the most powerful figures in Rome. Antony, a general with ambitions of his own, had risen to prominence during the Roman civil wars that followed Caesar's assassination. The alliance between Cleopatra and Marc Antony began as a political necessity, but it soon evolved into one of the most famous love affairs in ancient history. Cleopatra, recognizing the need for a strong Roman ally to secure her rule over Egypt, met with Marc Antony in 41 BCE in Tarsus. Legend says Cleopatra arrived on a magnificent barge adorned with gold, presenting herself as the goddess Isis incarnate, a symbol of her divine authority over Egypt. Antony, captivated by her intelligence, beauty, and regal presence, quickly became enthralled by the Queen of Egypt. Their relationship was deeply political. Cleopatra provided Marc Antony with the wealth and resources of Egypt, which he needed for his campaigns in the East. In return, Antony offered protection and support, ensuring Cleopatra's continued reign. Together, they envisioned a powerful Eastern empire, with Rome and Egypt ruling as equal partners. Their relationship became a potent symbol of the merging of Roman and Egyptian power. However, their union was not without controversy. In Rome, Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, viewed Cleopatra and Antony's growing alliance as a direct threat. Antony's decision to live in Alexandria with Cleopatra rather than return to Rome added fuel to the flames. He fathered 3 children with her, further solidifying their bond but deepening his divide with Rome. As their love affair flourished, Antony's political standing in Rome began to crumble. Back in Egypt, Cleopatra's power grew alongside Antony's, but their fate was increasingly tied to the volatile situation in Rome. Their relationship, although personal, was at the heart of the great power struggles between Rome and Egypt. Cleopatra saw Antony as her key to securing Egypt's independence and expanding its influence, but the forces of Roman politics were closing in. This chapter of Cleopatra's life marks the peak of her influence and the start of her final struggle against Rome, as her partnership with Marc Antony would soon lead them both into conflict with Octavian, setting the stage for one of the most famous battles in history. While Antony and Cleopatra strengthened their control in the East, Octavian was consolidating power in Rome. Octavian was a shrewd and calculating politician who understood the importance of public opinion. He launched a propaganda campaign, painting Cleopatra as a manipulative foreign queen who had seduced Marc Antony and turned him against Rome. This portrayal of Cleopatra as a dangerous outsider played into the Roman fear of Eastern influence. Octavian skillfully used this narrative to weaken Antony's standing in Rome and gain support among the Roman Senate. The Roman people, already suspicious of Antony's relationship with Cleopatra, were further convinced by Octavian's claims that Antony intended to make Cleopatra queen of both Rome and Egypt. This accusation outraged many in Rome who saw it as a betrayal of Roman values. Antony's decision to divorce his Roman wife, Octavia, who was Octavian's sister, only escalated the tension. This personal affront gave Octavian even more reason to wage war against Antony and Cleopatra. The rivalry between Octavian and Antony was no longer just about power in Rome. It became a battle over who would control the future of the Roman Empire and whether Cleopatra would have a role in it. As Octavian gained political and military strength, he declared war, not on Marc Antony directly, but on Cleopatra herself. Framing the conflict as a war to protect Rome from the ambitions of a foreign queen and her Roman lover, Octavian rallied the Roman Senate and citizens to his side. With Octavian's rise, Cleopatra's fate was no longer tied solely to her ability to rule Egypt, but also to the outcome of the conflict with the future emperor of Rome. In 31 BCE, the conflict between Marc Antony and Octavian reached its climax at the Battle of Actium, a naval confrontation that would determine the future of both Rome and Egypt. Antony and Cleopatra commanded a combined fleet, while Octavian, with the strategic brilliance of his general Agrippa, led the forces of Rome. The Battle of Actium took place off the western coast of Greece, and its outcome would forever change the course of history. Antony and Cleopatra had gathered a vast fleet, hoping to defeat Octavian and secure control of Rome and Egypt. However, Antony's forces were plagued by internal dissent and lack of supplies, weakening their chances of success. Cleopatra, ever the strategist, positioned herself to assist Antony, but the battle did not go as planned. As the fighting intensified, Cleopatra's fleet suddenly withdrew from the battle, a move that has been the subject of much speculation. Some believe that she acted to save her remaining forces, while others argue that it was a prearranged plan between her and Antony. Antony, seeing Cleopatra retreat, abandoned the battle and followed her, leaving his fleet leaderless and vulnerable. This decision marked the turning point of the battle, as Octavian seized the opportunity to overwhelm the remaining ships. Antony's forces were decisively defeated, and Octavian's victory at Actium was complete. Do you believe Cleopatra's retreat at the Battle of Actium was a strategic decision or a desperate act of survival? Let us know your thoughts in the comments after watching the full story. For Octavian, this victory solidified his path to becoming the first Roman emperor, while for Cleopatra and Marc Antony, it marked the beginning of the end. The Queen of Egypt and the once great Roman general were forced to retreat to Alexandria, where they would face the fallout of their defeat. The Battle of Actium was not just a military loss, it symbolized the collapse of Cleopatra's dreams of a powerful alliance between Rome and Egypt under her rule. This chapter in the story of Cleopatra is a defining moment in ancient history, as the fate of Egypt and its queen became intertwined with the ambitions of a rising Rome. After their devastating defeat at the Battle of Actium, Cleopatra and Marc Antony retreated to Alexandria, knowing that Octavian's forces would soon arrive to claim victory. As the last hope of defending Egypt slipped away, both Antony and Cleopatra faced their final days with a mixture of defiance and despair. Antony, overcome by guilt and failure, attempted to rally what little remained of his forces, but morale was shattered, and most of his troops either defected or surrendered to Octavian. In these final moments, Cleopatra began preparing for the inevitable. Enjoying Cleopatra's compelling story? Be sure to support Best of History and Mythology by subscribing, leaving a like, and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss more captivating historical adventures. Always a master of strategy, she sought to negotiate with Octavian, hoping to secure the future of her children, including Caesarion, her son, with Julius Caesar. She attempted to seduce Octavian, much like she had with Caesar and Antony, but he remained unmoved by her charm and focused solely on bringing her back to Rome as a prisoner, a trophy of his triumph. As Octavian drew closer, Antony, misled by false reports that Cleopatra had taken her own life, fell on his sword, mortally wounding himself. When he learned that Cleopatra was still alive, he was brought to her, where he died in her arms, marking the tragic end of one of the most famous love stories in ancient history. Antony's death left Cleopatra completely isolated, her power diminished, and her fate in the hands of Octavian. Refusing to suffer the humiliation of being paraded through the streets of Rome in Octavian's victory procession, Cleopatra made a final, fateful decision. On August 12, 33 BCE, Cleopatra took her own life, most likely through the bite of an asp, though the exact method remains a subject of debate. In death, Cleopatra ensured that she would never become a symbol of Rome's conquest. Her suicide marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the final chapter of ancient Egypt as an independent power. In your opinion, was Cleopatra's suicide an act of pride and defiance, or a final act of desperation and defeat? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Octavian, now the undisputed ruler of Rome, annexed Egypt as a province of the Roman Empire, and Cleopatra's dream of an enduring Egyptian rule alongside Rome faded into history. In these final days, Cleopatra secured her place as one of history's most enigmatic and powerful figures. She was the last queen of Egypt, a woman who, through intellect and charm, navigated the complexities of both Egyptian and Roman politics. Yet, despite her efforts, the forces of Rome proved too strong, and the once great kingdom of Egypt fell under Roman control. Cleopatra's legacy extends far beyond her reign as the last queen of Egypt. Her story, shaped by political intrigue, alliances with powerful Roman figures like Julius Caesar and Marc Antony, and her ability to navigate the complexities of both Egypt and Rome, left an indelible mark on history. Although her death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and Egypt's independence, Cleopatra remains one of the most iconic figures in ancient history. Her influence on Rome was profound. Through her relationships with Caesar and Antony, Cleopatra played a pivotal role in shaping the political landscape of the Roman Republic, which would ultimately give way to the Roman Empire under Octavian, later Augustus. The alliance between Egypt and Rome under Cleopatra's reign highlighted her political savvy, as she used her country's wealth and resources to forge strategic ties with some of the most powerful men of her time. Despite the efforts of Octavian to depict her as a dangerous seductress who threatened Rome's stability, Cleopatra's intelligence, education, and leadership qualities were undeniable. She spoke multiple languages, understood Egyptian culture deeply, and connected with her people in a way few foreign rulers had. Her presentation as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis further cemented her role as a divine ruler, blending Egyptian mythology with her reign to strengthen her image as a legitimate and beloved leader. In Egypt, Cleopatra remains celebrated as the last pharaoh to rule independently before Rome absorbed the kingdom into its empire. Her reign is remembered for its cultural and economic achievements, as well as her efforts to preserve Egypt's autonomy in the face of growing Roman dominance. Though she ultimately could not stop the Roman conquest, her attempts to forge a powerful Eastern empire alongside Rome demonstrated her vision for a united and prosperous future. Cleopatra's story has endured through centuries, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and historical debate. Her legacy is one of a ruler who defied expectations, wielded great power in a male-dominated world, and became a symbol of both ambition and tragedy. Today, Cleopatra remains an enduring figure in both history and mythology, a testament to the power of one woman to shape the course of an empire. Thank you for watching this conclusion to Cleopatra's extraordinary life. See you soon in the next video on Best of History and Mythology.